Hi everyone, I'm Amber Fennell. I'm partner and co-founder here at Consilium Strategic Communications. And it just gives me so much pleasure to see so many of you in person today.
The lasting legacy of all of this, I think, is being able to get to a higher conviction and a higher level of comfort without seeing people face to face.
The other key learning has been the resurgence of vaccines. So, we now have mRNA vaccines in, nearly 1 billion people worldwide.
I think if we get back into the norm again, we may not see things so quickly as before, but there's definitely a heightened sense of what is possible.
Remote working has probably changed forever now. I think what's happened is you'll see people working at home a great deal more than they ever did. So I don't know quite what we'll enforce yet, but we're very flexible, because what we saw was the job got done. People worked every day, people did the right things, we got deals done, and things happened that they should have done.
Is that it's liberated us to recruit much more broadly. So it doesn't really matter if you're down the road or in another country if you're working remotely. And that's also translated into our fundraise. So in June, we were really pleased and fortunate to announce that we closed a $245 million raise, which was the largest ever in the dialysis industry.
Where is the points that the industry has to attack? What are the key areas that they have to focus on? How do we make it stick?
I think to some degree things will have to go back to a normality for the sake of all the other therapeutic programs out there which have been parked.
I think we were joking about 100 test the water meetings, all virtual. We did our roadshow in a matter of 3 or 4 days, again, all virtual.
I think there's been a real bandwidth issue in the industry over the last 12 to 18 months.
So one of the critical aspects is picking the right teams to invest in.
I've been raising money from a company, and going many times to the US begging for the money, and then suddenly in 4 weeks I had 5 times my book. That was a little bit unexpected.
What we are beginning to see is perhaps the other end of the SPAC life cycle in terms of de-SPAC.
I think there's been a moderation in the US just in terms of the amount of capital that's being allocated to that space. If you got your timing right and you raised your SPAC earlier in the year, it was plain sailing pretty much, right? But now I think much harder.
The question on everyone's mind at the start really is whether the industry's reputational bounce is based on a sort of true appreciation of scientific efforts and understanding gained during the pandemic, or is it sort of, I'm really grateful that you gave me the vaccine and I could get back out there?
The effect of the pandemic and the way in which the life sciences industry in general responded has brought up to the attention of not just the general public, but also other businesses, of the importance of the life sciences industry.
And that you can't just sort of look at individual companies, you have to look at it, at the impact of the sector sort of worldwide.
So clearly different populations have had a very different experience to date of this pandemic.
What we're trying to do is really help folks get away from the whole concept of healthcare treating symptoms, because that's sick care. It's not health care.
I'm thinking that we're in this moment that Voltaire said where trust arrives on foot but departs on horseback. And I think we're waiting to see if the horses are arriving.
Because this was war. We had an enemy. Everybody together had a common enemy, which means people did work together and they learned that that was a good thing to do, and it actually produced great results. But once we get back to a norm, how much of that can we keep if there isn't that common enemy on our shoulder all the time?
Let me start with the beginning of your time chairing the Vaccines Task Force. What went through your head when you were asked to take that job on?
You said, we want to have a dedicated vaccine task force, we need you to lead it. To which I have exactly the same reaction, sort of saying, well, why me? Having the team to be able to connect with the industry and evaluate quickly what the different options were, because this wasn't a matter of finding the best ever vaccine, it was a matter of finding which vaccines could be effective and safe, but importantly could get delivered to the UK quickly.
Thanks very much for joining us. It's fantastic to be in a room together, and I wish everybody a very safe journey home. Thank you.